Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. In today's video I'm going to be bringing you all around my house, showing you all of my houseplants. I actually did a video like this several months ago and it was such a hit, you guys loved it, but I felt like my house has changed so much, my houseplant collection has changed and grown so much, so I felt like it was time for an updated houseplant tour. Can you please sit still? This is my puppy Everest and he likes to be in all my videos. If you're new to my channel, I obviously love houseplants, but I also love talking about natural living and simple living and just living a healthier lifestyle in general. So let's get started on the houseplant tour. Okay, so this is our guest room, and the reason why I have all of these plants in the guest room instead of in our bedroom or in another area is just because this room gets really good light. It technically gets morning light, but it just seems to be a really bright room all day long. I think because there's no trees on this side of our house, so it just stays really bright. So I don't have any plants that require a ton of sunlight, like none of them are like direct sunlight plants because the window is over there and they just get like a little bit of indirect light. But because this room gets a lot of sunlight anyway, they actually do quite well. And in case you're wondering why it looks like Mexican fiesta behind me, that's because it was my puppy's birthday and obviously I had to decorate for that. So up here I have a Boston fern. This guy is a little bit sad looking. I think it probably needs more humidity. I should probably be spraying it or something more often, but I really like this. I just love how like big it is. And then this guy right here is a grape ivy. I love English ivies. I think that they are so pretty, but I can't keep them alive for the life of me. So someone suggested that I try a grape ivy and it is like the easiest plant. It is just so happy all the time. I just kind of water it like every once in a while and it's just like super happy. The leaves are always super green. There's never any like yellowing or like brown spots. It just seems like a really easy plant. And I've honestly never really heard anyone else talk about grape ivies, but they should be way more popular than they are because it's so easy and it's sprouting all these new leaves. So I think it's gonna get bigger and I'm pretty sure it like eventually drapes like other ivy does. So I'm really excited for that because that's why I love ivy. Like I just think it's so pretty when it's all drapey. And then over here I have 2 or 3 little babies from my spider plant. I just cut them off and put them in water. I don't think they're doing anything yet. I only did this a few days ago and honestly I'm not even sure if I did this right. My huge spider plant in the other room has so many babies, so I figured I would just try. And then over here I have this really pathetic little spider plant. I've had this for years and it just kind of like does this and then it like never grows, but it like doesn't die. It's super finicky though. I have to use like distilled water or like filtered water on it, or at least if I boil water and then let it cool down. If I do anything else then it like burns the tips and it's really picky. And then right here I have this little propagation. This is a croton. I don't actually know how to pronounce that. Basically my friend wanted me to pick up one of these for her at the greenhouse and I was like sure I'll pick it up, but I'm gonna propagate it. So I propagated a couple little stems in here, but a couple of them do have nodes, so those should propagate well. Some of them don't, so I don't really expect them to do anything. But these plants are so pretty. And then right here, I just cut off a couple little pieces from my grape ivy, and I'm gonna see if they'll propagate because there's like a million things on there, so it doesn't hurt to try. Okay, so now we're in my living room. This is where the majority of my plants are, obviously just because this is where I spend the majority of my time, but also because our living room has this huge west-facing window. So this is where all the light is. So behind me I have a lot of plants that require a lot of sun. So I have 3 different aloes actually. I have this huge aloe. So this guy I actually got for free on Facebook Marketplace last year. It was not this big, but it was from this lady who had this massive aloe plant and she just like gave me all of this for free. And then this is actually a baby from that aloe that I repotted like months and months ago. But then this one is actually a separate plant. This is one of the very first plants I ever owned. And this guy was so finicky at the beginning, especially in our old apartment. Our old apartment just did not get enough light for an aloe plant. So this guy just never really did well. He was always really floppy and if I had it really close to the window then it would get too cold. But it is thriving now. It has like doubled or tripled in size in the last year. And it actually has a whole bunch of new little babies over here and it is just doing really good. It's really happy. And then here I have a little donkey tail. I pretty much avoid succulents because I always kill them. I think that my climate just isn't awesome for them, but I also probably just overwater them. But I have this guy and so far he's doing good and I think he's grown a whole new baby there, so he's pretty happy, and hopefully he'll get really big one day. And then here I have this string of pearls. This is actually propagated from another one that I'll show you in a minute. But I propagated this probably a month ago, and it's doing really well. I've never had success with string of pearls before, but this guy's pretty happy. I actually tried hanging this string of pearls in a macrame plant hanger, and while I was trying to like fiddle with it and get all of the beads to hang nicely, it like completely fell out of the hanger and smashed all over the counter. So it's just gonna stay right here. And then the last thing I have on this bench is this fiddle leaf propagation. So I cut both of these off of my big fiddle leaf a couple weeks ago, and I'm just gonna see what they do. And also this bench my husband made for me, and the other day I asked him, when you made that bench, did you picture it being covered in plants by the window? And he was like, yeah. So okay, and then behind me on this side you can see my Fiddle Leaf Fig. So this one I bought last summer, and I bought it like before they were really easy to find everywhere. Like at that time, especially where I live, they were pretty hard to find, and they were very expensive, and they were always in really bad shape. So I bought this one at Home Depot actually. I think it was $16.97, which is like a steal, but it was much smaller, and it had a lot of really bad leaves. So you can see that it still has some brown leaves, but it has gotten so much better. I nursed it back to life over the winter, and this spring it has just been producing so many new leaves finally after waiting forever. And I think that it is officially happy here. But it definitely needs lots of light, so I keep it right by the window, and it gets lots of sunlight there, and it's a good spot because it's not drafty. Okay, so right here we have my Majesty Palm. I know I'm gonna say that like 1,000 times, but I really love this plant. I love that it was cheap, and it's really large, and it's pretty easy to take care of. So this guy likes quite a bit of water, definitely more water than most of my other plants. This leaf is a little bit broken, and I think it's probably because I walk into it quite often because it like sticks out into the room. This guy likes to be more moist than a lot of other plants, so it does really well the more I spray it. I usually keep a spray bottle right here. Obviously I don't have one here as I'm saying that, but I usually keep a spray bottle right beside it, and I spray it like daily is the best. It really likes to be sprayed as much as possible, but if I don't get around to daily, even like once or twice a week is awesome. And this guy has grown so much since I got it. I got it last summer for my birthday from a friend, and just this spring even, it has grown so many new leaves. I think it has probably opened like 4 or 5 new leaves. It has a new one opening right now. Yeah, it's growing like crazy right now, and I can't wait for it to get like super tall. It's already like quite tall. It's probably like 4 feet tall, but I really like this guy. I just think that he makes such a statement in a room and is just like super fun. Okay, and this is really not a cute spot. This snake plant has always been in our bedroom, and it does pretty good there. Like it definitely is still alive, and it's like not dying at all. But I felt like it needed a little bit more sunlight in order to start growing. So I brought it out here, and I'm hoping that that'll wake it up and tell it that it's summer and it's time to grow a little bit. But eventually I will probably move this guy back into our bedroom because snake plants are super good to have in your bedroom. They are really good at purifying the air, and they especially like purify the air at nighttime. So I will probably move it back at some point. Okay, so here I have a couple shelves. My dream would be to have these shelves completely covered in plants, but it's a little bit tricky because this wall doesn't get a lot of sunlight, so I have to find plants that tolerate lower light, and a lot of things that I've tried haven't done super well on this shelf. But here's what I have right now. I have my pothos, and this guy's always done really well here, except lately he's had a couple super yellow leaves. So I'm not sure if he needs to find a new home. It also could just be because it's been super gloomy outside lately, and we just haven't been getting a lot of sun in general for like the past month. So I'm wondering if that's why. I really like that it has one really long vine, so I actually usually cut off. There's like 2 more up there. I always trim the shorter ones and I propagate those. I usually have like at least 2 pothos propagations, but I actually just sold one of them, and you'll see the other one soon. But pothos is like the easiest plant to propagate, so I'm always propagating them. But yeah, I always take from the shorter vine, and then I let the long one just keep growing and growing, and I hope that one day it's like 30 feet long because I just love that. And then over here I actually have a succulent, which shouldn't be here. It needs more light than that. It's just a tiny little one. It used to be in like direct light. They basically die wherever I put them anyway, so it's here, but that's definitely not a good spot for it. And then up there I have a jade plant, which has always done well in not a lot of sunlight, but lately I feel like it needs more light. It's actually looking really sad up there, so I think that it might be dying, which is so crazy because I always thought the jade plants were like the easiest plants That's also one of the very first plants I ever bought, and I always told everyone that it was like the easiest thing. You can't kill it, it's so easy. And then a couple months ago it dropped like almost all of its leaves, and I was like, what is happening? I thought you were supposed to be a super easy plant. Okay, so now we are in my dining room, and this is where I keep a lot of my favorite plants. This window right beside me is south facing, so this spot gets quite a bit of light. So as long as I keep plants like right in the corner here, these get quite a bit of light throughout the day. So right here you can see my monstera. This guy is definitely one of my favorite plants. I love him. He only has 2 leaves that have split. This one just has one little tiny split, and then there's one up there that is split, but I'm really hoping that it'll start producing more split leaves. But it has grown so much. I actually found it at Home Depot last summer, and it was right when monsteras were starting to get really popular, and I picked it up and I was like, I'm pretty sure that this is a monstera, but it didn't have any split leaves, and I was only familiar with the ones that had split leaves. So I actually Googled it right there, and I found out that that's what it was. And it didn't have a price tag. There was only one of them, and I figured it was going to be like $20 or something, and it was quite little. It was probably like this big, and I brought it to the cash and I asked how much it was, and it was $6.97, which is seriously such a steal. It tolerates basically any light. It's far enough away from the south facing window that it doesn't get too much sun, but I'm really hoping that it'll start growing a little bit more. I felt like the spot that it was before wasn't getting enough light for it to be growing a lot, so it's right here. And I actually put up this like trellis thing because it was growing like every direction, and it was taking up so much space in my house, which I know is a common problem for monsteras because they're just like so huge and wild. And then right up here I just have a pilea. This guy is super fun. It seems really happy now. When I first brought it home, it dropped quite a few leaves, but I think that that was probably just it adjusting to a new space, because it seems super healthy and like super happy now. And it has 2 little babies over here, and I know that these grow super fast. It actually has a tiny little baby down here too that I just actually noticed today. But this is a fun little plant, and I'm really excited for it to get like super huge and super full. Okay, and then I'm blocking this guy, but this string of pearls, you guys, this is actually not my plant. I am plant sitting this guy for the whole summer, but it is so beautiful. Look how long it is. I already showed you the string of pearls that I propagated from this one, and I just took a whole bunch of clippings off, and you literally can't, like, it doesn't look any different. There's so many strings on here. They're so full. Super scared of killing this guy, to be honest. It's just so gorgeous. You basically never see them like this in the stores this long, and she said that it just grows like crazy, and she's had to trim it several times because it always hits the floor. So this guy is just so pretty, and I want to keep it forever. Okay, and then right beside me here I have another pilea plant, and this is called a silver sparkle. I don't know what its actual like botanical name is, but it's super pretty. This is actually my newest plant, and it's basically like a nest, but it is so pretty. I need to find a spot to hang it. I can't really figure out where I want it to go, and it seems to do quite well here because it gets a good amount of sun. It's just gonna sit here for a couple weeks until I decide where it's supposed to go. But this one is so unique. I've never seen one of these in someone else's house. I feel like they're quite unique. At least here they're quite unique, and I just find it so pretty. Okay, and then up above me, which you can't really see, is my big spider plant. And I already showed you my tiny little pathetic spider plant that I can't keep alive. So everyone swears that spider plants are super easy, super low maintenance plants, and I never believed them because that tiny one was so high maintenance. But I was like, okay, I will try another one, and I bought this huge spider plant, and it has done so well. It is like constantly producing babies, and it's flowering, and it's growing so much, and it's just so happy. And it's also in this south facing window, so it gets quite a bit of light, but it's actually kind of blocked by the curtain, so it doesn't get too much direct light, but it seems to be doing so well in that spot. But I do make sure to water it with like filtered water, or at least water that I've boiled in the kettle, because I know my other one is super picky about that, so I don't want to risk it with this big one because it's so pretty. Okay, and then also I almost forgot to mention these 2 stumps. So this one was actually a wedding gift, and it's like completely dried out, and it was stripped, and it actually has our names carved in the side of it, which you can't see because I'm blocking it. But yeah, this traveled all the way across Canada, and it's probably like 50 pounds. And then this one we actually got down the road. They were cutting down a tree, and we took it inside, and it's not dried out, and it sheds like bark and dirt and like everything and sap all over my floors, and we probably shouldn't have it in the house, but I just love what it looks like in this corner, so whatever. Okay, so we are now in my kitchen, and right here I have a pothos, and this is actually propagated from my big long pothos that I showed you guys. And I actually just planted this in soil a couple weeks ago, maybe like 3 or 4 weeks ago, and this is a new spot for it. It's hanging here. I actually just noticed that it has a brand new leaf here, so it must be liking this new home. This window gets quite a bit of light, so hopefully it's not too much light for a pothos, but they are so easygoing that I'm sure it'll be happy here. Okay, and then beside me here, I have a couple different plants. I obviously have a bouquet of flowers. Half of these are super dead, but these big peonies are doing so good, and they're so pretty. And I'm really sad because I'm leaving on vacation really soon, and I'm not going to get to enjoy these for the rest of their life. But yeah, these obviously aren't houseplants, but they're still really pretty. But then right here I have a polka dot plant, or pink polka dot plant. I think it's just called a polka dot plant. I don't know why my brain is like not working. This plant was not doing well while it was still in its little greenhouse thing, which I kept it in for way too long, and then I planted it probably just last week, and it is thriving in here. The color is coming back, and it's growing some new leaves. So I don't know why I didn't plant this one earlier, but it is doing so much better since I did that. And then here I have a Dieffenbachia. This is a funny plant. It'll do super well for a couple months, and then I don't move it. It stays in the same spot. All of a sudden one day it'll drop like a whole bunch of its leaves, or a whole bunch of its leaves will turn yellow, and then it just like keeps rotating through that cycle. And it hasn't really grown a lot, but it has a big new leaf here. It has a little new leaf down here, and all the leaves are super green. So I think it's happy right now, but who knows how it'll be feeling in a week. I don't really know why it's like that. On the other side of the sink, which you couldn't really see, is this tiny little silver sparkle. I was telling you guys that I had a little one of these before I bought my huge one, and this is still alive, but I wouldn't say it's thriving. I find little plants much more finicky than big plants. They just aren't very forgiving. And this pot was actually our wedding favors. We had these terracotta pots with this ribbon, and it just says V and Q, and they had succulents in it, which I killed mine because I kill all of my succulents, but I like that I still have the pot at least, and I can like reuse it. So now we are in our master bedroom, and this room gets like no light. Plus I tend to forget to open the curtains, so any light that it would get, it doesn't really get. I think it's just because there's huge trees right in front of our houses, which is really nice. I love the beautiful trees, but they definitely block a lot of the light. So I'm super limited on what plants I can have in this room. I always used to have our snake plant in here, which I love doing, but I wanted it out in the living room where it would grow a little bit more. So I picked up a ZZ plant, and I had never had a ZZ plant before. I just bought this one. And everyone says that these are super, super easy and they really thrive in low light. So we will see how it does in here because it really is low light. And that is it. I hope that you guys enjoyed that houseplant tour. I feel like that was really long, but I just love them. They're so fun. I love collecting them. I've never really been like a collector before, but I feel like I am a houseplant collector because I just get so excited about finding new varieties or like different unique plants. And I love taking care of them. I love learning about them, and I sound like such a nerd right now. And also my dog is like giving me a bath while we sit here. Thank you. But I hope that you guys enjoyed that houseplant tour, and if you did, make sure to give this video a thumbs up. And if you want to see how my houseplants have changed or how many I've added over the last few months, I have a old houseplant tour that you can go back and watch. But otherwise, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video.